Communism. It's one of the most loaded, complicated, and misunderstood words in the modern world. It's a word that has defined wars, reshaped entire continents, and sparked endless fiery debate. But if we cut through all the noise, a simple question remains: what countries are actually communist today? The answer might surprise you. Officially, there are only 5. But the real story, the great paradox, is that even these countries might not be what you think communist means. The definition itself is a huge point of debate. Today, we're unraveling the myth, the reality, and the history of communism. We'll look at the 5 countries that are called communist today, explore what the ideology originally intended, and see what happened to the many others that once followed this path. This is a journey to understand the word, not to judge it. So, let's start with that list of 5. These are the nations today that are generally considered communist, primarily because they are ruled by a single, official communist party. First, the giant, China. Officially the People's Republic of China, it's ruled exclusively by the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. But here's the paradox. Its economy has undergone massive market-based reforms. There's private ownership and even some very wealthy individuals. It's a far cry from the classless society ideal. Next, in Southeast Asia, you have Vietnam and Laos. Like China, both are one-party states run by their respective communist parties. And also like China, their economic systems have become more mixed, with private businesses becoming more common in recent decades. Then there's North Korea. Power is held exclusively by the Workers' Party of Korea, centered around the Kim family. While it's infamous for human rights abuses and isolation, its association with communism comes from the state's total ownership of the means of production. And finally, the island nation of Cuba. The ruling Communist Party has held power since the 1960s. But here too, especially in recent years, the economic system has become increasingly friendly to private enterprise. Interestingly, despite being a relatively poor country, Cuba is also known for impressive achievements in public health. So if all these countries have private businesses and market elements, what was the original dream of communism? What is the actual ideology? Broadly speaking, it was best summed up by its most famous thinker, Karl Marx, with the phrase, "From each according to his ability, to each according to his needs." The goal was a system free of exploitation, where everyone contributes to the common good. The core ideals were common ownership of all property, the abolition of social classes, and eventually, the complete dissolution of the state itself. Yes, you heard that right. In pure communist theory, the government, the state, is supposed to eventually just wither away, and this is the key to the entire puzzle. A massive part of the confusion around the word communism comes from the difference between a communist party and the final goal of communism. In the grand scheme of communist theory, the progression goes something like this. First, you have capitalism. The theory says that capitalism will eventually fall apart due to its own internal problems. This would usher in an era of state socialism. This is the crucial middle step. In state socialism, the government, run by the Communist Party, takes control of the economy on behalf of the workers. The state owns the factories, the farms, everything. This is the stage where all the countries we call communist actually are, or claim to be. The final stage is communism. After an unspecified amount of time in the socialist phase, the state itself is supposed to become unnecessary and wither away, leaving behind a stateless, classless society. So, when you look at the official names, the USSR was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, Vietnam is the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. You see the clue. They never claimed to have achieved communism. They claimed to be in the socialist phase on the road to communism. This road to communism defined much of the 20th century. After World War II, with the Soviet Union as a major superpower, many countries adopted this model. Countries like Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, East Germany, Hungary, Poland, Romania, Russia as the USSR, and Yugoslavia were all led by communist parties for decades. They were either part of or allied with the Soviet Union. But then came the turning point. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the global balance of power shifted dramatically. These states became non-communist, some virtually overnight, ending the great 20th century experiment for a huge part of the world. So, communism is indeed a complicated, loaded word, mostly because we often confuse the ideological end goal, a stateless, classless society that has never existed, with the political reality, a one-party state, usually calling itself socialist, that exercises total control over the economy. The 5 communist countries that remain today are defined by the absolute rule of a communist party, but their economic systems are complex, often hybrid models that have adapted to a globalized capitalist world. They are a living testament to the immense gap between a radical political theory and its real-world application. Understanding this distinction is key to cutting through the noise. It's not about taking sides, but about knowing what the terms actually mean. What was the most surprising thing you learned about the definition of communism today? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If this video helped you understand this complex topic a little better, please give it a like, subscribe. For more historical deep dives and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.